please pop up D-E-C-D-E, and then it's N.
Nicea.
It would help if I could spell. You and I are friends on Facebook.
I thought so.
Yeah, I thought so too. Why isn't it highlighted?
Yeah. Let's see.
Try that again.
Oh, no, we're not.
Last name. Are we not?
Okay, I just added you.
Okay, thank you. All right. I thought that we were. Okay. Here we go. Hello and welcome to Strategic Exodus Podcast. My name is Dorothea Robinson, and I am so super excited to have the guest that I have here today. Your minds are going to be blown. I'm asking everybody to go out and share. Get your sister, girl, get your mother, get your daughters. You all need to be here because the information that my guest has today, I promise you, there are things that you have not heard before. So I'm asking if you can go and share with your family. Hey, how about this? Share with your husbands. Share with the men in your life. Everybody needs to hear this information. I promise you, you will absolutely not be, disappointed. So I can run on all day. I'm just going to read this young lady's bio, and I just need you to be attentive. I need you to listen because, again, she's coming through. I'm telling you, if you're not ready, you better get ready. So Nicea Hilton saves uterus. Wait a minute. Let me stop. The correct pronunciation is not like, octopus and octopi. Uteruses. Is that safe?
Actually, I've seen it's uteruses and I've seen uteri, so I just say uteruses.
Okay, so thank you. See, we've got to clear some things up because I don't want to butcher everything. Nicea Hilton saves uteruses and makes babies as a holistic period and fertility strategist and doctor of Oriental medicine, certified in Oriental reproductive medicine, ABORM. And she's going to explain what that is.
Yeah.
Known for her multifaceted perspective of the menstrual cycle that shatters the belief of what has been accepted as normal, what is healthy. You can catch Nicea working with women virtually or at her holistic reproductive health clinic, or on her podcast, Sisters of Flow. I love it. As founder of the Fertility Effect and the Fertile Collective, Nicea inspires women seeking holistic methods to support their quest, not only for period relief or positive pregnancy tests, but for a more aligned, empowered whole self. While women have been searching all over for the answers to her questions about her period and her fertility health, Nicea helps her see that the answers have been within her the whole time. She just needs to know how to access and interpret it. From this new perspective, she begins to create a life for her instead of allowing things to happen to her, taking a more active role in her healthcare and well-being. Nicea leads women to shift their relationship with their cycle to one of self-guided direction, detecting cues and listening to messages of what her mind, body, and soul are saying she needs. Man, that's just awesome. Thank you for coming here. Thank you for your yes, because I know your yes cost you something. I want you to have the floor. There's so much, and I know we're not going to get it all in here, but thank you. And the floor is yours, Nicea.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you opening the floor in the space because, you brought it in and you said, hey, I'm inviting you in. And I'm like, thank you. So I really appreciate it. So grateful for that. It's this. I'm like, where do you start? It's a lot of information. So definitely can't get into years and years of study into it. But I think we'll just start with what it is that resonated with you from another summit that I did. And it's, when you're dealing with trauma and the history of trauma and domestic violence and that abuse, just like the impact, right? And just women it becomes a part where that behavior ends up actually creating their identity. And so it's coming from that place that identity is not a permanent identity, and that at any point in time, you're helping them. You're the exit strategist. At any point in time when you make that decision, you can make the decision to leave. And we see the effects coming in and playing a role in the cycle itself. And then specifically when I'm working with women with fertility and that have a history of experiencing some type and some shape form of abuse that might have happened, whether it's in childhood, teenage years, or even adulthood. And even some birth workers out there that would have discussed we need to be sensitive as she's going through the birthing process, simply because it will come up and there will be triggers there. And so an occasion where she's to be really there and communicating with her baby, it can be really hard. And even then that trauma is still affecting her to that point and impacting her life. And so it's like you can make the decision and you want to change. And so we're here to be resources for you. For those, I don't know, which way do you want to lean more into?
It was on the World Voice League telesummit where I was my mouth hung to the floor because I never put the two together with so many things that you spoke about. There's so many disconnects where women thinking of their bodies, even the thought processes of, about your period, how you look at your period and how there may be problems in what you see as normal. Women who are victims of abuse, they believe that their relationship that they live in is normal. But then you've got so much going on, so you're thinking that this is a normal relationship, and then you're wondering why you're missing your period, or it's totally off, or why your period is so painful. That was me. I'd been hospitalized a couple of times because I'm, not to get real explicit and tell everybody my business. However, it was horrible. Each month I dreaded the fact that it would come on, and as heavy as it did a doctor say to me, more than likely when you have those periods like that, you are probably miscarrying. And I didn't think to correlate what was going on in the relationship and correlate my horrific months that you absolutely dread. What you brought to the table that I would love for you to talk about is the disconnect that we have as women with our mind, body, and soul. How our lives or what happens in it, basically reasons why you have periods the way you have, or why is there a disconnect? Where did that happen? And how can we fix that? How can we link up our mind to our bodies so that it's doing what it should, and knowing when what's healthy and what's not? I know that was a lot, but
but it was, but it's okay. I think I got it, and then you'll let me know if I'm doing it. Okay, so I would say step one, or first thing that popped up when you say, how can we begin to connect, right? To connect again. And then where did this all start? This story may not be the same for everyone, but it's a predominating story in that when you first start menstruating, most are introduced to menstruation as, okay, oh my gosh, now she can get pregnant. And so that's it. Like, that's the first thing. And then from that comes this fear, like, okay, well, she can get pregnant. We need to stop that. And so how do we stop that? And then now hormonal birth control may be introduced really early. So it's pretty much like that's the extent of a conversation, if you even had a conversation, because I've definitely met women that have not even had the conversation about it. You look like
my mother told me a story. She was in 11th grade. No, she wasn't. She was in 10th grade, whatever grade it was. And so this was back in the 40s. And her mother didn't tell her. Now, mind you, her mother was an RN. Her mother didn't tell her about the period. Her grandmother, for whom it is that she was living with, didn't tell her about the period. She went to school. It happens. She's soiled. The nurse says, "Oh, you have your period." And she's like, "Okay, what's this?" She said, "You don't understand?" So the nurse there explained to her, sent her home. Mind you, home was a 2-mile walk. Whatever, but 2-mile walk. When she gets home, she was infuriated because you didn't bother to tell me the story that this was going to happen to me one day, and it happened at school. So when the comment was this, okay, you're a woman now. Here's your equipment, and bye. That was it.
Yeah. And that's common, and unfortunately, and I think that it's because of that introduction to the cycle itself that pretty much sets the stage, right? So it sets the stage that either I don't know, I'm not aware of my body, and it sets the stage of somebody else is going to tell me now, I'm not going to, all they're worried about is pregnancy, so they're just going to give me this. And then that's it. So that stage has been set. And I think that's where the disconnect begins. And so now, if you're talking about with your audience, with the abuse and whatnot, it's like the body, they've already disconnected even further, right? So, and then to have some type of establishment to create a relationship is underneath this guise that, well, I'm in this relationship, like that has to be that way of love, when really it's not. It's just, it's a placeholder. And so when you have that, then it's really hard for them to come into the body and to listen to the body. And that's what I say. I start out with, you look at the cycle, no matter what is going on. You look at the whole cycle as a way that it's actually giving you messages and giving you cues as to what is going on mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so to be able to adopt a relationship with those messages that they're working for you and not against you. So that is a huge shift. So those messages are working for you, not against you, even through the pain, through the heavy bleeding, through all of that, or not even having a period at all. It's working for you. And all it is asking you to pay attention. And then now you shift that into, okay, well, you're telling me, what are you wanting to tell me? And what are you needing to hear? And what are you needing to listen to? And then you make the appropriate changes from there.
Wow. So someone who has been through abuse and someone who's exited and having to pay attention to a lot of things, and most things they don't even know that they need to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. Their body would be one of them. Other mm-hmm. than, if it's physical abuse, the healing from that. But then the mindset of, getting rid of, you being told that you're nothing, you're no one, you're never going to go anywhere, all of that stuff, they've got to peel back like an onion to get to their true self. And so now what you're saying, which I think is so super amazing, and again, you think about the mind, but then to have to program your mind to think in the way that you're saying, Denicia, that, all of it is connected and our body reacts because of how we're thinking. But if we don't know that we're thinking off, then we've got to learn these things. And that's why I'm so excited about you being here, because most women don't understand that. They have no idea why, our bodies react the way that they do. I want, if you can, talk about the birth control pill used as a way to lessen the pain, regulate your period. Is that harmful in such a way? Because I know that there are women who are in relationships, what, I'm not having this baby. That I'm not doing. If I've got to do that, I know that I'm taking that. And trust me, I've come across women. I know that I'm taking that. I'm not having his baby. And if you're in that relationship for a while, how does that, work for or work against a woman's cycle and her chances of having a baby later?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. Something I'm very passionate about as well. I understand. It's like I understand it where she's at, and you explained it perfectly. Like, if I'm dealing with this, I definitely don't want to bring a child into this, and I'm not going to carry this on, right? And so I get that. Things to be on the lookout for, and even in those types of relationships, you have increased likelihood of anxiety and depression, right? Hormonal birth control use actually has been linked to cause an increase in anxiety and depression. So it's almost even that could potentially magnify those conditions already. Another thing to be on the lookout for is that hormonal birth control, the way that it works is that it works from up here in the brain. And so it's actually synthetically releasing, I should say, these hormones, because that's what they're coming in the form of, whichever way the patch, the IUD, next one on, whatever. And so therefore it's shutting down your own production. And so now something else is synthetically doing so. And you may have these bleeds, but they're not actually true periods. They're just bleeds. And um, that lets you know, I mean, you're not ovulating. Like that's what it does. It shuts down the ovulation process. And so say you're successful at getting out of that relationship, and then you are now in another relationship and you feel safe, you feel comfortable, and then you're willing to go take that next step and expand your family, but you might struggle with that. Many are on hormonal birth control and they might be on it for years. Some women I've talked with have been on it for decades. And over time, the way that it affects even the gut system, it will affect the way that you are able to process micronutrients that you're even taking in. So you might have serious issues actually digesting and breaking down foods that provide the nutrients that you would need for egg health and for uterine health and for you to actually have an overall healthy cycle. And so that chronic use would have really affected there. Sleep patterns, it can be shown in sleep pattern as well, because it'll throw off the gut biome. And the gut biome, it has a direct feedback loop to the brain in the way that it is that we sleep, and how we might promote that calming down and coming into sleep. Some women are able to, once they stop the birth control use, it depends on it depends on her makeup, and some rebound very quickly, and that all of a sudden her own system is like, there's nothing there blocking it. There's nothing there synthetically doing anything. So it's just like, whew, it's like a rush. And so now she may experience some very ill symptoms coming off of birth control. And Dr. Jolene talks about that with the post-birth control syndrome. And that, yeah, I mean, it could be night sweats, it could be cramps, it could be bleeding, it could be other issues with the gut, whether it's constipation or diarrhea. Like, it's so many different things, and it's because your body's just being flooded right now with, it's like the how do you call it, not bridge, but well, actually, yeah, it's like the gate has actually been opened. And so then now your body's like, okay, we can do this. But then it now needs to go through the process of reestablishing communication and reestablishing harmony amongst itself without something else blocking it. And so that is how then you start to really now learn, what is my real cycle now?
Right.
Because nothing is holding it back. So what is my real cycle, and what is it saying? And you just kind of learn, and you go through that process of, now what is it? And for some women, they're scared because they might have even gone on the birth control because they were heavy bleeders, or they were in a lot of pain, and they're like, I don't want it to come back. So there's that fear. And it's even then having to work through that fear of, it may or may not happen right now. Like, that was however long ago, and so much has changed. And so really it's welcoming and being present and saying, who am I now? Like, how is my body presenting itself right now? And then just being in that space and supporting yourself in that regard.
So now, you know what? Again, we can be here all day, and I will have. We're going to have another conversation. But then I'm just starting to think. So if our uteruses and the connect and or disconnect that happens. So if a woman is pregnant, and if she is not pregnant and she has all of these issues, and things stop and start, or heavy flow or light flow, or just absolutely out of your mind pain, all of that goes together with the disconnect. When she's pregnant, how does abuse or trauma, verbal abuse, affect the baby, other than the baby actually listening? How is a baby affected?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. So I'm gonna go back a little bit in the timeline for her, right? So we have an extra vessel. So in Oriental medicine, Chinese medicine, there's an extra vessel that connects the uterus to the heart. We can look at the function of that connection if there are ovulatory issues, right? And it's said that if the heart's in a great place, the heart will be able to open and the vessel will be open. And so that when there is ovulation would occur. And so if you are experiencing or you have experienced something and it's extremely stressful, it's traumatic, the heart may be closed and that vessel may struggle to ovulate. Right now, let's just say it bypasses that, and then you actually do ovulate and you successfully become pregnant. And so now you're actually pregnant, and this baby's growing. And it's one of the things that we talked about too in fertility when it comes to preconception health and fertility is the two, like the energy of the two, and like the mental state, the mental emotional state. It's even said, like, even if you were to go and have sex, like, make sure that it's out of love, like you're exuding love for each other, which for some who are struggling to get pregnant, it can become a task. And so that part, the intimacy part, even sensuality part, is actually removed from it too, right? So we even have to go through that process of just understanding, like, we're trying to bring this together. And so if she is pregnant, here's the thing. If she is pregnant and let's just say it's history, we have cellular memory. So our bodies remember these things. And so she may then even have anxiety that might be related to someone else is now invading her body. And someone else is now taking over her body again. And that can be very traumatic for her. When it comes to birthing, there might be birthing positions that your doula may recommend, but you just don't feel comfortable because it triggers something that would have happened, right? And so, and then you have to think too that now this baby needs to exit out of where you may have been penetrated against your will. And so that in and of itself can trigger many women to just get to a point that even labor will stop. And then labor may prolong. And the next thing you know, they say we have to do a C-section.
Wow, you just explained my whole situation. We could be here all day, and I'm gonna, I want you to tell the audience just a little bit about, before you have to go, just about, your podcast and just some of the things that you do. I want you to explain just a little bit about the ABORM, what that means.
Yeah.
But you just explained. Now I understand why. 72 hours later, decided it was going to go in, and we're going to go have it normal way, no pain meds, nothing, first child. And let's just say that 72 hours on your back, and you get to the point of that third, or what is it called? The final, I forget the end part. Oh gosh.
So like that third phase, that ring of fire.
Yeah, you're right there and you're trying to push, and then the doctor says to you, oh no, your pelvic area is too small, although I was 300 some pounds at the time. But at any rate, your pelvic area is too small, the baby's head can't go through. Well, in my mind, could you see that before we even got to this point? Why you allow me
It was your innate protecting yourself.
Yeah.
That
it shut. My hips didn't separate, none of that good stuff. He was a 10-pound baby, and he just wasn't. He was shy of an ounce of 10 pounds, and he just was not coming through. Raymond, if you're listening, sorry, but you owe me a week's worth of pay. And I tell him that all the time. You owe me a week's worth of pay, 72 hours. Yeah, right. And with overtime, right? So we get to that threshold where, all right, this is not happening. So I'm pushing anyway, because the doctor takes his hand, and he pushes hand on his head, pushes back, and tilts the bed backwards. And so I'm rushing through, this way. So I'm rushing through a hallway to the ER with some doctors hand, arm, all the way up to here.
Oh my gosh.
Back the opposite way. And I had to have an emergency C-section. This is something I'll never forget. But you just explained why that happened. Just because of what was going on at the house.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's something, and even with your experience, I mean,
wow.
It's something that we in the birthing community we talk about as well, is even the providers mean well, and at the same time some of them tend to disconnect. So when you talk about how is it that we're just so disconnected, it can even come from the way that our providers treat us, where they treat us as if we're disconnected. And so in that birthing process, if they don't understand, they're not asking permission. They're just doing, and I get it, like they're doing and what they're hoping for is the best for you and the baby. But it's that mental emotional part that's like, wait, what are you, like, what's happening, and it's all happening so fast. And this is why we really recommend like having a doula and having an advocate that's there for you, that can be there and hold that space, and then can really work with you. And that's how we can work with the maternal and fetal death rates that are happening now.
Right.
Like those are some things. So it's like everything is so connected, and any change during that whole spectrum can shift the trajectory of something for someone. And I know that there are doulas out there that do specialize in working with women that have a history of abuse, because they understand that sensitivity and during that process. And so like there are midwives that can help with that as well. Like it's something that I think to really take that into consideration for anyone who is trying to get to that point where they are pregnant, and then also willingly be pregnant, and then go through, and even if it's unwillingly being pregnant, but then now you're like, I need to get to that finish line of birthing, and to have someone like a doula there to help support and hold that space for you is going to be extremely important.
So I don't want to run over time. And I want to be respectful of your time. You are coming back if you don't mind, because we have to have this conversation. And, I'm just thinking in my head, wheels are turning. And I think we're going to talk a little bit later, because this information is not known. This information should and must be shared. I know that my daughter, and I just spoke with you a little bit earlier, that this is why she's doing what she's doing, because of the death rate among Black and brown babies, and just that whole birthing process. The one thing that the walk away, the takeaway, I need people to understand that mind, body, and soul is all connected. Where you're grounded or where you're not grounded, where you're staying or where you're not staying, it's all connected, and that's why it's so important that we seek health. Mind, body, and soul. You see here, and you have heard from Nicea how it all is aligned, whether or not you're trying to get pregnant or trying to get pregnant, or if you are pregnant, or if you've got heavy periods and we don't understand about our bodies the way that we should. And Nicea, she brings to the table something totally different. Nicea, I've said this to you before. I really absolutely do. I don't know. These universities need to get to you, sis. Straight up. Let's be honest. Let's be truthful. These young people who are going to these colleges, bless their hearts for wanting to help and to serve someone. However, what you bring to the table in regard to this, they're not teaching in colleges. Sis, you got to get there. Start your own school. I don't know, but you got to do it, because I'm thinking of my daughter who's getting ready to walk this walk. She's becoming, she's going into midwifery because of Black and brown babies dying. This is her it. But I know what you teach, she's not going to get. So sis, how can we get to you? Where are you? What are the classes? Give it to us. Give it to us all. We need it.
So actually, you can go to my website. It's DeniceaHilton.com. Also connect with me on Facebook, connect with me on Instagram. Right now, there's a course. It's for those that are actively planning to expand their families. And I work with women one-to-one as well that are actively working on expanding their families, or even those that are saying, I'm not wanting to expand my family now, but I do have these issues with my menstrual cycle. And we already talked about this, right? Like that the menstrual cycle condition is what caught your attention. And so then working with you is to help you be able to, and to teach you to be able to read and interpret and reestablish that relationship with yourself, so that we're going to be working on it, so that as your mind, body, and spirit starts to become into alignment, the side effect is your cycle gets healthier, and then your body feels like it's in a much better environment and it's conducive to fertility. So that, like, through those ways, that's how it is. Now, you know what? I open and receive the invitation to speak in universities, classes, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I would love to introduce this perspective.
What you bring to the table is unheard of. They're not teaching this in schools. And so for those of you who have just joined, I'm real quick. This is Nicea Hilton. She saves uteruses and makes babies as a holistic period and fertility strategist and doctor of Oriental medicine, certified in Oriental reproductive medicine. I know that needs to be in schools. Nicea, I am so thankful for you. The women for whom it is that you serve are so blessed, because not only are they learning mind, body, and soul about themselves, but when they're ready to carry babies, or if they're carrying babies, you're able to shift the mind in order to react in the way that it's supposed to go, the things that are supposed to happen, and not having experiences of being 72 hours in labor with some doctor's hand pushing the baby back. So yeah, we can avoid those types of experiences.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to make sure that all of your information are in the comments so people are able to get to you, reach out to you. Do you have classes at all?
I was doing workshops, and you're bringing this up, so I might need to start again.
Oh, from my mouth to the Father's ears. I'm praying for that. Listen, not that you have enough stuff to do already, but I'm just so excited because this information has to be shared, women and men. Share it with your wives, share it with your sisters. This is about women.
And they're going to have daughters.
And not have the experience of like what my mother did. You know, my mother passed away at 86, but I remember her telling me that story that no one told her about. No one. My daughter laughs till this day because I had a little party. I had bags, I had books, I went out to dinner. I celebrated it with her. And she, some people, but her friends were like, your mom did all of that? Yeah, because I wanted her to celebrate, although she hates it now because, Ma, you did this to me. This is this down the thing. So, yeah, but thank you so super much. I had so much fun. This will not be the end. You've got to come back because, we might just do a show around you because you have got, your information is so super valuable. It's like gold. It's like gold. Nicea,
thank you
so much. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
So I can go on forever, but Nicea has to go, and I don't want to be rude. This is Strategic Exodus Podcast. Thank you so super much. My guest today was Nicea Hilton, and she, saves uteruses and babies. That's what she does. And if you want to connect with her, all of the information will be in the links below. Thank you again. We'll see each other soon. All right then. Take care.